Well, my friends, I am starting with a dove. This has been quite the week. Yes, so welcome to Waking Up with Your Energy Guide. Wow, lots of changes, and I'm sure lots of folks are going through the same kind of thing. Changes in your personal life. For me, it's changes in my personal life. It's a cocooning. I can feel my energy tight around me, like it's embracing me and holding me. For those of you that can really feel what you're being called to, those yeses and all the gradients in between, what is happening for me right now is I'm feeling that yes, but then all the gradients in between are like veils. So it's like I feel yes or nothing. And so it's really kind of putting me back into my own energy for this next couple of weeks of what I know is a healing process. But the great part about this work and the work that you do whenever you choose to work with your own energy is that you start to know. You start to get the heads up. Hey, this is coming. Hey, this is coming. And you may not have all the details, but you're ready for it. And so there's a little bit more of a grace and a compassion for yourself and being able to flow with it. So today I started, and right when I hit the record button, there was a dove that came overhead and a softening in my crown. It was just my dove card. Doves represent so much. And what it might represent to each one of us is different, but to me it represents transmutation, the power of spirit. Let's put it that way. The power of spirit and the power of that energy. And so when I see it come down and then I can feel my crown soften, it turns into like this little beautiful purple soft vortex, and I let the dove descend in. So if you're with me this morning, just take a second and let that, if you're feeling called, let that dove peer over you. Soften your crown and let it nestle in. It's a soft energy. I love the dove's energy because it's a soft energy, and it's a reminder that healing can be soft. It doesn't have to be all hard edges. It can be easeful, kind of like a cocoon can be a warm blanket. Yeah, I'm not poking too far out of it, but it's warm and it's comfy, and that's okay. I can feel it circulating now around my back and descending down, which is perfect. It's perfect because it's kind of carrying with it everything I'm carrying with me. I've been doing a lot of, circling the drain type stuff, like let's pull the plug and just let that energy fall out. So actually, let's do that today too. If you're with me and you've just got a lot in your system, a lot of noise, a lot of stuff you're purging or moving through, I definitely feel like I'm in a molting season, a shedding season, hence the cocoon for the next couple of weeks. Go ahead and pull that drain plug. Pull the plug out of the drain at the bottom of you. And let it all fall, and see how your breath just kind of falls deeper. Like, oh, I can exhale now. These little things are things you can do every day to work with your energy. You can let it work through you. You can pull the drain. You can let it flow out of you. It's things like this, incorporating these very simple tools into your daily routine, that transform your relationship with your body and your energy. I had a cohort I did recently, and an amazing, just super amazing client that was in the cohort. Love her. And she said it really well. She's like, it's like I get to live out my fantasy novel every day now, right? This world is really like, think of it as it's a feeling world. And so whatever constructs we can put around it, or mental concepts or visuals or anchor points, experiences that allow us to experience the feeling, that allows us to move the energy. So we're really just coming back in contact with our body as the conduit for feeling the energy. And all of these tools are all just different ways that we create anchor points to facilitate this movement or flow of energy, which is why there's so much flexibility. So once she realized, and she was totally non-woo-woo science, right? But once she realized, oh, I just get to like take my characters from the fantasy novels and start to play with that in everyday life. Like, what if I had fire coming from my hands? What would that do? And it really accelerated not only her own process and how she felt, her peace, calm, and flow in life, and how everything's just flowing to her now. Her stress levels went down, her burnout went down, and she's like really going up to this whole different level in work and in life. But it also just made it more fun and easy. So whenever I give you a visual, just remember, if you can make up your own, right? This is all just ways to create our own constructs and concepts that help us anchor in what's happening outside of what we can physically see in the three-dimensional world. So welcome to my world, where doves float into your body and drains get pulled. But these are some of the easiest ways to work with your energy on a daily basis. And it's really funny because whenever I get on these, on this recording, it's like there's always a little bit of a tension in the chest. And it's because every time I record, it's an act of courage. Like, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about or what's going to come up. There's personal stuff going on in my life. And so right now, I know it's very much about just getting on and hitting the record button and showing you the reality of what I do every morning. I sit with myself for whether it's 10 minutes or whether it's 2 hours. I sit with myself. And sometimes I just lay in bed and I let the energies float. And it's really helped me this week. So that's what I'm feeling about talking about next. So there's a reason I'm drinking this tea and using this cup. So someone today needs to know that you are just amazing. Okay, you are nothing short of amazing. My dad got me this mug, I don't know, a year or two ago. And I pull it out, and this morning I got the nudge. This was the mug for someone who's watching. So whoever needs to know that you are nothing short of amazing, here's your reminder. And I know this is like the backwards thing, of course, because of the camera. Yeah. So I'm drinking Activate tea this morning. I've been drinking it quite a bit this week. Activate tea is the third tea in my awakening line. And that line uses Blue Lotus. So for those of you not familiar, Blue Lotus is it's a mild euphoric. So it does have some mild psychoactive properties, but in the amounts I use in my teas, especially here, which is the lowest volume of it, it's barely noticeable, but it's enough to get the head tingling, brain opening effects that you would get, which is why I really love working with it when I'm working with that awakening or kind of bursting. This tea is bursting energy, so we'll talk a little bit about that. My awakening line has 3 different teas in it. And here is all about presence. So it's opening you up. It's the softest one. It has the least amount of Blue Lotus, the most amount of other herbs in it. That's going to help you just be totally present with everything that's happening without needing to control it. And it is one of my most potent teas in terms of the, I shouldn't say potent, that's not the right word. The most powerful, one of the more powerful teas I have. In terms of how much people love it and feel it in their body. It's a very balanced tea. It opens up kind of every part of your body. And so it's one tea that I had someone give to, all of their clients this year. That's a common use of it. It looks like spring. It smells like spring. It has every bloom under the sun in it. It tastes really springy. So it is that first hint of spring kind of tea. So that's here. Then the next step after you're kind of fully present in the situation is transcend. And transcend's all about like helicoptering above the situation and actually seeing it from a bird's eye view. So you're still part of it, you're still in it, but you can see it within a broader context. You become the broader context, really. It's about becoming that broader context. And suddenly that situation you're in just looks differently in perspective or relationship to everything else. And then the third step in the awakening process is activate. And that is your bursting energy. It's ideation, it's creativity. It's really like we're not going to actually focus on exactly where you're going. We're just going to kind of let it flow and break out of ruts. So this is that bursting energy. Imagine something bursting out of the ground. It does have a decent amount of, still low, I would say, but it has some Blue Lotus in it, but it also has chrysanthemum, red clover, lemongrass, It has some hawthorn, ginger, schisandra, chicory root, jasmine green tea, yerba mate, lemon balm, white peony root, rosemary, holy basil, and lavender. So we kind of went after each different part of this bursting energy. The rosemary is really good for mental cognition and performance, for instance. Lemongrass is really good in the solar plexus for personal power, digestion. So is the chrysanthemum, actually. You've got the jasmine green tea and the yerba mate have just a touch of caffeine in it. So really good for just, again, gonna peek out of the ground. Lots of other things in here, you know, adaptogens, calming, like all of this is like, let's just get things moving. In fact, I gotta tell you, my first batch of this stuff, this is one of the very few teas that I tested and was like, must modify recipe. It was so well done and bursting that I felt ungrounded. So I actually had to add in the chicory root and a couple of other things to bring a little bit more of some grounding without it being heavy. So actually, this is so funny. This is how I think of energy, but not straight down, but a diagonal down. So everything for me is movement. Your energy flows in a certain way. My energy flows in a certain way. So when I design a tea, I actually step into the tea and say, okay, what is the energy flow pattern that I want to create? I feel it through my whole body. I ask just to feel it. So I basically step into it. I choose that. We have the power to feel any sort of energetic state we want to feel. So originally, when I was going through my healing journey, things like ketamine therapy, et cetera, helped me feel that so that I could then live it in my everyday life. But now I can feel it by choice anytime I want to. So I just simply have to say, I'd like to feel this. And I do. And then once I feel it, I can anchor that feeling and then start to create things that move me more into that state and actually bring that state to me. Again, for me, it's a lot of work about not having to chase things, but being able to pull them towards me more or magnetize them to me, because it's less frenetic. And I have a predisposition towards a slightly frenetic personality, if you can't tell. So, but my true power opens up when I'm in a Zen state. And so there is like this beautiful aspect of, yes, I'm agile, I'm nimble on my feet and all of that. But I also really, really find that my power comes when I start to call things to me and magnetize them to me. And we join forces because we both just want to be together in some way, shape, or form. So this energetic state, basically embody the energetic state, and then I design a tea around it. And as I add ingredients, I ask to feel what those ingredients together would feel like in my body, and I can feel where the desired pattern is a little off of the pattern that I want. And then I also, some of it just comes in downloads. Like I usually start with a list of herbs that just are downloaded to me from source consciousness. Or if you guys have ever read this book, I was reading it this morning, it made me cry, The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin. He has a really good way of how to think about working with source consciousness in whatever capacity you want to call it, believe it, whatever, but it's that collective consciousness that we're pulling from when we're inspired or when we create works of art. And so his book is really powerful, short essays on that. I highly recommend it. Don't read it all in one sitting, like unless you feel called. Read a little bit every day. It takes 5 minutes. It will completely change your world. So great book. But that's really what I'm doing. Some of it's just downloading, and sometimes it's an entire recipe, but a lot of times it's a handful of herbs as the anchor, and then the idea of what energetic state I'm looking at creating. And I am babbling about my creative process because I love the creative process. Ultimately, it's like something I've enjoyed coming back to after so many years of being so completely analytical. Now I can actually merge those together. I was on a client session this week and we were going through numbers and spreadsheets and how to deal with some stuff in their business. And it was really neat to be able to bring these worlds together and feel into what are their yeses, what are the solutions for them right now, or the paths to walk that feel the most aligned, so we can just shed the extra weight of all the noise. So there's still the analytics, still the spreadsheets, still the data, and how do we navigate it is through our intuition. Our intellect is a form of intuition. It only becomes a challenge when it gets all balled up in here and we're all up here instead of fully accessing every aspect of our being. We're just, as a society, imbalanced. We prioritize, I guess, or glorify a little bit more of the analytical. And so many of us stepped into analytical because we were good at it. It's glorified. It feels safe and secure. But the safety and security actually come when you blend them. That's when you feel most secure, because that's when you know how to be in your body and how to sense what's right for you. So why activate? I'm going to turn off the heater on my heating pad. I'm just getting a little warm. Why activate? Because wowza, what a week, guys. I don't know what you're going through, but life changes for me. I mean, so much that I'm almost like not wanting to talk about all of it yet. Like I need to let it sit and stew. So today I don't think I'm going to go into too many details. I'm really letting it work its way through. But like everything from I'm purging on a health standpoint. I got the nudge that it was time to get off of sleeping with earplugs every night. And I've slept with earplugs for 20 years. My ears were starting to really hurt. And I knew it was my body telling me it was time to let them go. But that means I'm retraining myself to sleep without earplugs. And it doesn't matter if I'm in a beautiful woods cabin away from everything with the sound of a crick going by. I am so used to sleeping with something stuffed in my ears that it has been an adjustment. But I am really happy because last night I got a nudge to make a cup of mugwort and motherwort and go to bed a little early. And I slept, guys. This is like nights of not sleeping in order to make this adjustment. And I slept. So I am so freaking thankful right now. Yay. But what I really loved about this week is all the tools that I had to deal with it. So like when I was in bed not sleeping, instead of getting frustrated because I knew that wasn't going to solve the problem, instead I worked on what are all the attachments I have to earplugs, the belief systems. How do I just sit and receive energy for this time? So I received a lot of healings. I can feel different, I can feel it. I can see it. There's different ways it shows up for me, different light rays, different guides. Was beautiful to just feel and receive the healing. Just feel and receive the healing, the regeneration of my cells. And that allowed me to function just beautifully on what would be in many people's eyes a substandard amount of sleep, especially because I prioritize sleep so much. I was an insomniac when I was younger, and so sleep has been very once I figured out how to sleep consistently, I was like, oh, sleep. So it was also breaking my relationship, or not breaking, but continuing to upgrade my relationship with sleep, that it's not a push-pull, that I can regenerate my cells with or without sleep, right? There are many ways to do that. And I'm getting a nudge to talk about actually my upcoming, So I have a membership, and a lot of what we're going to be doing is cocooning over the next 4 weeks. So we talked about refueling tanks last time, and anyone who has the membership can access all these recordings on demand. So we did a guided exploration around refueling your tanks. And then this coming Sunday, we're really going to do comfort. So coming back or falling back into your own warmth. And even if you watch this episode years from now, those will be available on the membership recording database. They're seasonally appropriate. So so we're going to talk about hearth and go into your house. And then we're moving into presence, how to be fully present in the moment. So we'll do a guided exploration of that. And then we're doing transitions and thresholds. So we're going to play with timelines and crossing over the year as we close out the year. And then early January, it's about self-healing. So we're starting to get into how do you actually do some of these, cellular regeneration stuff, and how do you actually get into your body and help it get into an optimal place to heal energetically. So you no longer have friction with these things. This week, as I'm talking, I realize is a celebration. I realize that I am nothing short of amazing. And so are you. Yes, there's a lot of crap going on, but wow. All these tools and the foresight that I have had to deal with it. The vans come up this week, so manifesting's been a really, really big thing this week. Really big. I'm gonna just pour myself so you guys can see this gorgeous tea. So I'm clearing layers between me and the life that I am feeling called to, right? The life I want, the life I desire. Desire, that word. Ooh, so I could feel my energy dropping into my innards when I said that. Yes, play with words, guys. Feel the difference in energy when you use certain words. It tells you a lot. But when I say the word desire, I feel it like at a sacral level. Like I feel it in my innards, in my places of sensuality and passion and creativity, like in my hips and not my hips, but in that kind of upper pelvic region in my navel. Like I feel it in my, you know what I mean, right? Right? You know what I mean? It's like sometimes I just want to do a sumo squat. Like it's the female version of the Tim Allen grunt, right? I am a warrior. I am yes, I am a goddess kind of energy. Anyways, love that energy. So fun. And when I say desire, I get there. I feel it. I am finally deciding that stepping into everything I desire does not mean that I'm judging people who want something different, and that it's okay for me to step away from some of that or transmute some of that, or say goodbye to certain things, or say we're shifting that energy. And it's not a judgment. It doesn't mean anyone else is bad because they want something different. And holy crap, guys, game changer and frankly hard. I was talking to a client this week who's going through their own journey around that. And I was saying, it took me 4 years, a couple of years of really moving through these stages of empowerment and then tapping into my desires, compassion for myself so I could have compassion for others, forgiveness for myself so I could have forgiveness for others. All of these things moving through to be able to get to that radical place where I can say, this is not what I want, and it is not a diss on you. I just don't want it. I want something different, and I don't have to explain that. Like I can, and I'll show it as authentically as I can, but at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be explained, just like your desires don't have to be explained. It's okay for us to want something different than what we have. And the moment I closed some of those doors and made some of those leaps of faith and, put my pillow in the middle of the bed and stopped using earplugs and started saying, yes, I want the nomad life that I talked about in the last couple of weeks, and I am ready for what that means. All of a sudden, boom, 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 all the stuff's clicking into place. Not as in, I actually know what van I'm going to get, but as in, I can feel it in my field, and I can feel it getting closer with every layer that I'm clearing. So I'm getting sent on little missions. I call them missions. My intuition loves to send me on missions. It's not it's me, right? I don't even like separating it because it's me. My higher self loves to send me on missions, and I love it. That's what it is. And I love it. I go there and I don't know what we're going to learn or do or experience. I went to a couple of van places yesterday. And I realized it was a connection I was making. There was a lot of reasons I was at one place. It was actually really good for a lot of people. It was good for my sister and me. It was good for her cat. It was good for the guy we met. It was just like good for me to realize that I absolutely know that I want a custom built van. Like I think needed to get that clarity that I know I want a custom built van. That doesn't mean it's custom built for me. What it means is it's the wood. It doesn't have that kind of out of the box RV look, right? It's wood. It has character. It's been places, it's seen things. I see myself as having like a lightly used or well-loved, whatever, van that has like beautiful wood insides. It feels very beachy, fun, playful, like I can feel it, I can see it now, and I can feel its energy. In fact, as I'm talking about it, there's just so much tingling happening in my body, especially my like calves and ankles, and they're talking to me in all the good ways. They're letting me know, yes, you're on the right track. And I know I'm on the right track, not just for the van, but for you guys. Somebody needs to hear this very excitable thing that even when life is crazy, client appointments falling off the calendar, revenue dropping, right, all this stuff, and I'm dealing with recovering, like a next phase of purging from some residual old illness clearing that I'm doing. So I'm on some homeopathics for some bacterial stuff, and I'm on a pretty aggressive dose, which means I'm not getting sick, but I'm getting, like, you feel it, right? You feel your body. You ever have that where you just know you're working through something, but you're not actually sick? That kind of stuff. Going through all that and going through the earplugs, multi-year things ending for me in my personal life. Kind of what you would call tough conversations, but they're not at all, actually, because I have amazing people in my life. I, for the first time this week, told my story. Actually, I told my story 6 months ago, but the recording hit my inbox of my family. And so reaching out and basically reaching out to my family and saying, hey, FYI, I'm going to tell my story. And it doesn't mean I don't love you, but it is my story. And it did affect you, and you were a part of it. And giving them an option and talking through some of that together. Those were some really monumental moments in my week. I watched the podcast episode with a family member of mine, and we were crying. It was so impactful and beautiful and powerful. Whoever ends up listening to it. And I knew, okay, this is the next step in my healing with my own family, to like come forward with this and to say it doesn't have to define us. And yet it is our story. And so how do we own both? Holy crap, what a week, guys. What a flippin' week. My entire future changed. My entire future is changing. And I knew it was coming. So I'm settling into the energy now. Getting out of my head, out of that frenetic energy, into the heart. And if you're someone who has that, like, more predisposition towards some of that freneticism, like the racing mind, the looping thoughts, whatever it is, the nervous system, no, you can always just take it down. Ooh, ooh. So that's energy clearing, just so you know, guys. If you ever just sit there and burp for absolutely no reason, you're likely clearing energy. I haven't eaten yet today. Energy moves through gas, through yawns, through gurgling stomach. So if you ever feel your body like realigning and stuff coming up or out any ends of your body, that's your eliminative system. That's a shift. That's a good thing. Reinvent your relationship with gas. It'll go a long way. Oh my gosh. I'm feeling called to tell you about my childhood, a little bit about so I've had what they consider an overactive adrenal response, fight or flight response, since I was very, very, very young. By 12, when I first got taken in for psychiatric reasons to get looked at by a psychiatrist, the first psychiatrist I met with said, I'm not medicating her. She has it. This is an endocrine thing. This isn't a psychological thing. But we didn't know what to do with that at the time, right? It meant a lot of tests. And now looking back on it, I'm not sure they even would have found what they did end up finding in my 20s at a research hospital in Minnesota, which is that my very, very frequent lightheadedness and fainting, vasovagal syncope, orthostatic hypertension, all that was caused by essentially the next cause down in the stack was an overactive epinephrine response. So when someone else's would go up by like 20%, mine would go up by 600%. So this really came into focus when I was in the hospital. I did a drug-free my first child. My second child was a preemie. So they stopped the labor and then had to restart it once they got the steroid shots and the antibiotics and things kind of started to get questionable. They induced. So it went from stopping the labor to starting it. And when they did that, of course, having labor that's induced for a 33-week-old, is a little bit more, I would say, intense. And so by like 3 centimeters dilated, I was feeling like I was 9 centimeters dilated with my son. And it's like, that when I had done drug-free, 22 hours, it was definitely, it was an act of learning to flow with pain. It was really good for me. It was really difficult. By the time I decided I wanted drugs, it was too late. So I was in it. I think I went into an out-of-body experience at one point because the pain was just so much. I separated to allow the pain to roll through. But I was just like waves and waves. I learned to work with the pain like waves. And so it was actually a really good experience for me, even though I was like, so with my daughter, I ended up being like, yep, I do. I need an epidural. One of the best things we did, way shortened my labor, eased the everything. I was like, wow, why didn't I do this the first time? This is fabulous. But anyways, I did pass out when they put it in, and then my blood pressure was crashing the entire time. And they kept giving me these epinephrine shots, not epidural, sorry, epinephrine shots of adrenaline. And they did nothing to my blood pressure. My blood pressure was just hanging out below the 80 over whatever mark that they had the system set out for alerts. And finally, they asked the doctor, they're like, can we just turn it off? Because it's going off and off and off, and nothing we're doing, no amount of epinephrine is lifting it up. And she's okay, right? And so they did. They turned off the notification system, or I don't know, turned it down, whatever they did, whatever they were allowed to do, because I did not feel the epinephrine. You give me a shot of adrenaline, I do not feel it, because at any given point in time, I can have so much adrenaline pumping through my system. And so this is something that I had a predisposition to, and I believe it was in order to learn and experience how to bring my nervous system into a state of alignment. I was predispositioned to what we would call anxiety in today's age. Like, not at a psychological level, but at a physical level. Also at a psychological level, when I actually did end up going into a trauma recovery program after all of my personal stuff went down, they had some, they had us do a trauma egg. Marilyn, oh, I'm blanking on the name, but anyway, she has a book, and we had to like go back to the nest and then kind of go up and look at our life experiences. And I had completely forgotten I'd been attacked by a dog as a little weeby. And so I realized I had a couple of experiences in my early years that were more of a, like, I'm going to call more feeling life or death, right? Where there was physical risk of harm, and then there was some harm. I wasn't like mutilated or anything by this dog, but it was enough that as a little kid, that was a physical threat, right? And I realized that there was a little bit of predisposition towards me being afraid of that kind of stuff. Does that make sense? Because of some of the things that happened in my life. So even though I worked through my fear of dogs and got over it later in life through exposure, I did it myself. I realized that there was things that had happened throughout my life that made me a little bit more predispositioned to fearing physical threat, which means, you know, it reinforced that overactive fight or flight response. But it was all to serve me. It was all to serve me. So I could learn to step out of it and into my body, because when I'm in my body, that doesn't react. It was all to serve me. So if you have that predisposition, or you feel like you're prone to that, remember that it's you can choose. By taking a deep breath and getting into your body and letting the energy excess discharge. So in this moment, I am just feeling like someone here, all of us here, can choose to drop into our bodies, to feel it discharge. Give it permission to exit. Give it permission to go into the earth. Give it permission to wipe to the side, to wipe off your back, like you're just flicking it off. And just be with yourself. Be in the warmth of your heart. The dove's back again. The dove to me is transmutation. To a lot of people, the dove is peace. To me, it's transmutation. And sometimes for different people, different things. But when I say transmutation, I mean that ability to convert energy from one form into another. And it just is a reminder that I can convert this. Doesn't always have to release, you know, sometimes it's a conversion process. So I'm asking the dove to come down and help me with that transmutation. This is when I want to just give it to be addressed. And it will often take it and fly away. I might have a red ribbon float down with a message. It might just go. It might come back to me in a different format, but often it goes away. But it's not full, like, it's different than a release. It's shifting it into something beautiful for someone. a reminder that everything I've done, every every disappointment, that's a lot coming up. Disappointment. I'm working a lot through redoing my relationship with disappointing others right now. Remember I said earlier I have that little wall? It's like yes or nothing, the veil. It's like it almost feels like I'm feeling around in the dark to find the yes. Part of that is insulating me so that I can release a little bit that there is going to be some disappointment along the way, and that's okay. Disappointment is sacred. It's a chance for every time one of us is disappointed or activated. It's a chance for us to heal and grow. And if we look at it that way, it doesn't feel as painful. And I'm feeling the need to forgive myself right now. So if any part of you feels like it just needs to be forgiven, to be allowed to come through, then now's a great time to do that. You can feel the energy now circulating in a pattern like this, sweeping down to my feet and then circulating. That's been a big pattern lately, actually. It's like this, and then like this, and feeling the difference. And right now, it's like this. It's like, are you bringing energy in and circulating it, or are you releasing it and circulating it out and clearing? And right now, I'm very much feeling like the cocooning, bringing it into me, kind of firmer walls right now. And I'm told that by, everything's going to clear up in the next couple of weeks. And that I don't need to know the exact date, but sometime in the next couple of weeks, things are going to be clear. I'm getting enough of a yes to book things or schedule things, but then when I try to get beyond that meeting, it's like, no, you just need to have this one and it'll all be clear. It's because I know it on a part of me, but I'm learning to trust that, and I'm learning that I don't actually need to worry about it, even though I know it. I don't need to name it, even though I know it. I don't need to define it, even though I know it. I can feel it, and I can feel enough to take the next step, and that's all that matters. And that feels like, as we head into the end of the year, the big theme. When you have that vision, back to manifesting, right? And I'm calling and attracting these things towards me. I now have more clarity on where I'm feeling called to have my home base. But the van comes first because life on the road is the biggest priority. And then there will be a home base. I'm getting that. That home base will come to me. I kind of have a general feeling of where that feels good. But it's kind of like, don't put the cart before the horse. What's really important right now is that next step, which is calling in the van. And so focusing on the where I'm going to be or put that is not actually the most important thing, because the message that I got is I'm going to be releasing everything, all my possessions, most of them, I should say. I'll have my clothes, I'll have some things, I'll definitely have my herbs and teas. I'm going to have partners to do manufacturing of my teas, but I will have a mobile tea operation with me as well. I envision kind of like Psalm for the Wild, built the little tea monk going around the country saying, let's sit down, let's talk about what's really going on in your life, and then let's drink some tea and let's shift the energy. Let's be with all of it, right? And let's be with all of it, and being with all of it allows us to shift it in really cool ways. So I can see that life for myself. And so everything I'm setting up is enabling that life so that I can go from town to town and serve the community, city to city, be present in the community, leave gifts, connect with people of all types and backgrounds, regardless, without judgment. because my dream is to bring the world together in an era where we've done a lot of division. And that means accessibility of this work to everybody. Everyone deserves to access this work. I want it to be that you don't need to have a lot of money and a private energy worker to make this magic happen in your life. If you want to, you can, but you don't have to. You can make this work happen in a life that works for you. So that's why I'm creating and investing so much in teas, in my decks, in my monthly membership, and all of these different options that will scale and be more affordable and accessible in people's everyday lives. YouTube, right? Because this is life. Life is breakups. Life is closing doors. Life is having dreams. Life is calling them to you and then watching them manifest in completely different ways than what you thought, but knowing they're just as perfect, even if not more perfect than what you originally envisioned. That's life. So we can enjoy every freaking step on the way. Damn, that's pretty beautiful. So I'm going to leave you with my life purpose today. It came back to me this week. From when I was 16. When you find a place that exists beyond your wildest imaginations and exceeds your greatest expectations, that's when you know you're alive. So let's go find it. Let's cocoon and find it inside of ourselves so we can create it outside of ourselves. That's what it's all about. See you next week. I'm getting one more thing. Oh. Something about this mug. You are nothing short of amazing. Thanks, Dad.